The girl on the platform. The twin suns of Varex Prime burned high above the city square. Thousands of aliens gathered near a tall stone platform in the middle of the plaza. The crowd was loud, excited. Some cheered, some held weapons, but all of them were looking at one thing, a small alien girl standing on top of the platform, her arms bound in glowing chains. She was no more than 16 in Earth years. Her skin was pale blue, and her hair, long and silver, blew gently in the warm wind. Her eyes were bright violet, full of fear, but she stood still, proud, even as the guards beside her shouted out her crimes. "This is Lyra of House Vontel," one guard yelled. "She has betrayed the crown, stolen forbidden power, and disrespected the high law. The punishment is death." The crowd roared. Far behind them, at the edge of the square, a human stood silently. His name was Eli Ward, a traveler, soldier, and former Earth recon pilot. He had seen war. He had seen suffering. But something about this moment felt worse than anything he had seen in battle. He looked at the girl on the platform. She wasn't fighting, she wasn't screaming, she was ready to die. Eli frowned. This wasn't right. She was just a child. He turned to the alien next to him, a tall traitor with orange eyes. "What did she really do?" he asked. The alien shrugged. "They say she carries old magic. The royal family is scared of her. They call it justice, but it's just fear." Eli's jaw tightened. "No trial?" "No trial. No chance." The guard raised a long ceremonial blade high into the air. The sun reflected off it, making the whole crowd go quiet. The girl closed her eyes, and that's when Eli moved. He pushed through the crowd fast and hard. "Out of the way!" he shouted. Aliens turned in shock as a human ran straight toward the platform. Guards noticed him. One aimed a blaster. "Stop him!" Eli jumped onto the stage just as the blade came down. With one swift motion, he blocked it using his arm guard. A shockwave burst from the impact. The crowd gasped. The guard stumbled back. "What are you doing, human?" the captain growled. "She's just a girl," Eli shouted. "You're killing a child. She is a danger to the Empire. I've seen real danger." "She's not. The girl opened her eyes. For the first time, she looked directly at Eli. Her lips trembled. "Why?" she whispered. "Why did you save me?" Eli didn't answer. He pulled out a small EMP disc from his belt and smashed it on the chains. Sparks flew. The energy cuffs died with a hiss. The girl's hands were free. The crowd was silent for a second. Then came the screams. "Traitor! Stop him! Kill them both!" Guards rushed the platform. Eli grabbed Lyra's hand. "Run!" he yelled. They jumped down the back of the platform and dashed through the narrow alleyways of the city. Lyra stumbled. She had been weak, hungry, tired. But she ran, her bare feet hitting the stone roads, her silver hair flying like a trail of light behind her. Eli led her through the market, knocking over stalls and carts behind them to slow their pursuers. He knew the city layout. He had studied it for weeks during trade missions, but now, all his knowledge was being tested. "Left," he shouted, pulling Lyra down a dark tunnel that led beneath the old transport station. They disappeared into the shadows, just as armed guards flooded the plaza. Back in the quiet of the tunnel, Lyra leaned against the wall, breathing hard. "You could have died," she said softly. "So could you," Eli replied. "You don't even know me." "I don't need to," he said. "You didn't deserve to die like that." She looked at him with wide, confused eyes. "Why are you helping me? No one else cared." Eli sat down beside her and shook his head. "Because I've seen too many people die when others did nothing. I won't be one of those people." There was silence for a moment. Then, softly, Lyra said, "My name is Lyra. I'm Eli." They shook hands even though hers trembled. Above them, alarms began to ring out across the city. "They'll be looking for us," Eli said. "Yes," Lyra replied. "And they won't stop until one of us is dead." Eli smiled faintly. "Then we better keep moving." And with that, The human and the alien girl disappeared into the darkness, two strangers now bound by fate. The escape through fire flames rose behind them as the city square turned into chaos. The execution stage burned, the sound of crackling, fire mixed with shouts, sirens, and the pounding of boots. Eli didn't look back. He couldn't. He held Lyra's wrist tight as they ran through the maze of glowing market stalls and underground tunnels, the smoke chasing them like a monster with burning breath. Just 10 minutes ago, she was about to die. Now the two fugitives raced for their lives. "We won't make it if we keep running blind," Eli said, dragging her down a side alley. His voice was calm, but inside his mind raced. "I know a place," Lyra whispered between heavy breaths. "Old supply tunnels. I used to hide there as a child." Her legs were weak. Her body shook, but there was something sharp in her eyes now, something that wasn't there on the platform. "Hope." Eli nodded. "Lead the way." They turned down a narrow street, flames still glowing in the distance. Drone alarms hovered overhead. The city's defense net was activating. Steel gates dropped from rooftops and floating cameras scanned every face in the crowd. Eli knew he had little time. "Why did you really save me?" Lyra asked again, this time without fear. Eli looked ahead. "Because I couldn't stand there and let them win." She didn't ask who they were. She already knew. They reached the edge of the market district, where lights turned dim and walls cracked with age. The air smelled like rust and oil. Lyra ran her fingers along a wall, then stopped near a faded symbol, a circle with stars. "Here," she said. Eli watched as she pressed the center of the symbol. With a soft click, part of the wall shifted. A hidden door opened, revealing an old tunnel lined with broken lights and forgotten pipes. "You really used to hide here?" Eli asked. She nodded. "My mother taught me, before she vanished." They stepped inside, the door closing behind them. Darkness swallowed them, but Eli activated a small wrist light. It cast a soft blue glow on the damp walls. "Stay close," he whispered. Deep in the tunnels, Lyra finally collapsed onto the floor. Her breath was shaky. Her skin was cold. "I'm sorry," she said. "I slowed you down." "You're alive," Eli replied. "That's what matters." He handed her a protein bar from his belt pack. She took it slowly, her hands trembling. "No one's ever done this for me," she said. "Not even my own blood." "Sounds like you've had a rough life," Eli said. She gave a dry laugh. "Try being born with power no one understands. The royal court feared I'd bring a storm to their rule, so instead of teaching me, they locked me up, then planned to erase me forever." Eli was silent for a moment. "They're scared of what you might become." "They should be," she said, her eyes glowing faintly. "But not for the reasons they think." Suddenly, a metallic hiss echoed through the tunnel. Eli snapped to his feet, blaster raised. From a nearby side shaft, a spherical scout drone floated in, scanning the air. It had followed heat trails and theirs were fresh. "Hide," Eli said quickly. Lyra crawled behind old crates as the drone aimed its lens at Eli. "Unregistered human detected," it said in a cold, robotic voice. "Surrender or be neutralized." "Sorry," Eli said with a smirk. "I'm not very obedient." With one quick shot, he blasted the drone's core. Sparks flew as it crashed to the ground, but the damage was done. "That was a signal drone," Lyra said, standing up. "They know our location now." "How far to the exit?" "Not far, but if they block it, they won't," Eli said. "We go together. You showed me the way in. I'll get us out." Back in the upper levels, smoke covered the streets. Soldiers moved in tight squads, armed and ready. Bounties on Eli and Lyra flashed on giant screens above buildings. The reward was high. Dead or alive. Inside the tunnels, the two fugitives reached a final ladder. "This goes up to the old transport station," Lyra said. "From there we can jump onto the mag train tracks. It's dangerous but fast." Eli nodded. Better than staying down here. He let her climb first, then followed. When they pushed open the hatch, the city lights nearly blinded them. But they had made it, or so they thought. "Stop right there," shouted a guard, leveling a plasma rifle at them from the rooftop. More. Guards appeared from both sides. Lyra stepped in front of Eli. "Get behind me," she said softly. "No more running." Before he could answer, her body lit up with a glowing white-blue energy. A wave of raw power blasted outward, knocking back the soldiers like paper in a storm. The roof cracked. The lights flickered. Eli shielded his eyes. When it was over, she collapsed into his arms. "You really are dangerous," Eli whispered. She gave him a tired smile. "Only when someone gives me a reason." Hunted by her own people. The stars looked peaceful, but peace was a lie. High above the city in a rusted old cargo skiff, Eli piloted the stolen vessel through the darkness of Varex Prime's lower orbit. Inside the back chamber, Lyra lay wrapped in a thermal blanket, her skin still glowing faintly from the strange power she had unleashed. She hadn't spoken in over an hour. She just stared out the window, watching the stars pass, like she was searching for something she had lost long ago. "You still with me?" Eli asked softly, adjusting the flight controls. Lyra nodded weakly. "Yes, just thinking." "About what?" She hesitated, then finally said, "About how I'll be hunted now. Not just by the Empire, but by my own blood." Back on the planet, a transmission was sent to every major faction in the region. A message in bold red letters blinked across screens. Lyra Vontel, fugitive, captured dead or alive, full amnesty to anyone who delivers her. Her father's own name was stamped at the bottom. Eli didn't see it, but Lyra had. She had memorized it. She now knew something that cut deeper than any wound. Her family had sold her soul to the galaxy. A few hours later, the skiff landed on an abandoned moon station, an old listening post from a forgotten war. Its metal walls were cold, its lights flickering. But it was hidden, and for now, it was safe. Eli unpacked rations, checking the perimeter. Lyra sat near an old console, running her fingers over broken buttons. "This place is haunted," she said. "By ghosts? By memories." Eli sat beside her. "You said your people fear you. But why? What is this power you have?" She closed her eyes. "I'm what they call a airborne. One born with old energy. We're rare. Long ago, the airbornes led great houses until one of them burned a city to ash. After that, the bloodline was controlled, silenced, watched, killed if needed." "And your family?" "They swore to protect me. Instead, they caged me." Eli felt anger rise inside him. "They tried to erase you. Just in case?" "Yes." There was silence again. Then she looked at him. "You should leave me. I'm a target now. You'll be hunted too." Eli laughed softly. "Too late for that." Suddenly, a distant beep echoed from the station's radar. Eli's smile faded. "They found us." Lyra stood, her voice calm. "My uncle's hunters. I can feel them." Eli checked the radar. 3 ships inbound. Fast. No calls. No warnings. Assassins. "We'll fight if we have to," he said. Lyra touched his arm. "No, let me talk to them. Let me try something first." Eli didn't like it, but he nodded. When the first assassin landed, he walked through the misty corridor like a shadow. His face was hidden beneath dark armor, and a double blade hung at his side. 2 more followed, silent and deadly. Lyra stepped forward alone. They raised weapons. "Lyra Vontel," the lead hunter said, "you are ordered to return dead or broken." "I know," she said calmly. "But I'm not coming back." "You are a danger." "I am your future." The assassin stepped closer. "Then die like your mother." That broke something inside her. With a scream, energy pulsed from Lyra's hands, wild and bright. The wall shook, sparks flew. The assassins flew back like dolls. Eli ran in. grabbing her just before she collapsed again. "You okay?" he asked, holding her up. She breathed. Hard. They called her a traitor too. But my mother wasn't weak, neither am I. When the station calmed, only one assassin remained, alive but stunned. Eli stared at him. "Go back. Tell them what you saw. She's not afraid anymore." The assassin said nothing, but he fled. And just like that, Lyra was no longer running. She was standing. Later that night, she sat beside Eli on the cold floor looking at the stars again. "I didn't want this," she said. "I wanted to be a healer, not a weapon." "You're not a weapon," Eli said. She looked at him, her voice soft. "Then what am I to you?" He didn't answer at first. Then he said, "You're someone worth fighting for." Lyra smiled, just a little. It was the first time she had in days. "Then I won't run anymore," she whispered. "If they come, I'll face them, and I'll be right beside you." The silent bond. It wasn't words that brought them close. It was silence. Not the silence of fear, but the silence of two souls breathing side by side after surviving fire, betrayal, and blood. Eli sat against the metal wall of the abandoned moon station, watching the flickering glow of a weak heater. Lyra sat just a few feet away, her knees hugged to her chest, wrapped in a dusty gray blanket. Neither spoke. They didn't need to. In that silence, something new was growing, something quiet, something real. Hours passed. Eli finally stood and walked to the broken control panel in the corner. He pulled out tools from his belt and began to fix the power node. Sparks danced as he worked. Lyra watched him, head tilted. "You always fix things?" she asked softly. He smiled without looking at her. "Machines are easier than people. They don't lie. They don't hide." She stood slowly and walked over. "Still, you saved a broken stranger." "You weren't broken," he said. "Just buried." Lyra looked down. "You speak like someone who was once buried too." "I was," Eli said. "War does that." She didn't ask for more. She just stood beside him, silently helping sort wires and reconnect damaged circuits. It wasn't much, but working together made the cold feel a little warmer. Later that night, the storm outside raged through the moon's thin atmosphere. Wind howled against the walls. Inside, the small heater barely held. Lyra's voice was faint when she asked, "Why do humans care so much about strangers?" Eli thought for a moment. "Because we know how it feels to be left behind." Lyra's violet eyes shimmered. "So do I." Without another word, she moved closer and sat beside him. Her shoulder brushed his. Her body trembled, not from fear, but from cold. Eli hesitated, then gently put his arm around her. She didn't pull away. Instead, she leaned into him. There was no kiss, no dramatic confession, just two lost people, finding warmth in each other's silence. Somewhere deeper in the station, an old data core came online. Blue light blinked through the halls. Curious, Lyra followed the light with Eli behind her. They entered a chamber with ancient holograms, recordings from a long-forgotten past. The galaxy had been different then. Civilizations stronger. Empires united. One recording played, on its own. It showed a young alien woman, her body glowing with the same white-blue light that had come from Lyra. "That's a hairborn," Lyra whispered. Eli looked at her. "Like you." The woman in the recording spoke. "Power without love is destruction. But love can shape stars." The message ended. Silence returned. But this silence was not cold. It was deep, powerful. Lyra reached out and touched the hologram panel. It responded to her. Glowing lines wrapped around her hand. Her eyes widened. Eli stepped forward. "What is it?" "I don't know, but it recognizes me." The lines moved up her arm gently, warm, pulsing, ancient. A soft sound like a heartbeat echoed in the room. Eli reached for her. Lyra, I'm okay, she whispered. I think it's choosing me. Then the glow faded. The lights dimmed. She turned to Eli. I think that was from my ancestors. A message left for someone like me. He nodded. They wanted you to remember. You're not a curse, you're a legacy. Lyra's lip trembled. She didn't speak. She just stepped forward and wrapped her arms around him. He held her tightly. In that moment, a bond formed, not forced. Not rushed, but real. Back in their small room, the heater buzzed softly. Lyra fell asleep with her head on Eli's shoulder. He didn't move. He stared out at the stars through the cracked window, and he made a silent promise. I'll protect her, no matter what it takes. But not far away, a shadow watched from the darkness of space, a stealth cruiser with a red royal crest waiting for the right moment. Inside the cruiser, a woman with cold silver eyes smiled. Found you, niece, she whispered. Let's see what you've become. The assassins in the dark, the first sign wasn't sound. It was smell. A sharp scent like burned metal and cold ash drifted through the vents of the moon station. Eli woke up instantly. Years of military instinct kicked in. He didn't move. He didn't speak. He just opened one eye and listened. The heater still hummed. Lyra still lay asleep beside him, breathing softly. But something was wrong. Very wrong. Eli's hand slowly slid to the blaster hidden under his jacket. Elsewhere in the shadows of the station, they moved like shadows. 3 silent figures in black armor, faces hidden under smooth helmets with no eyes, no mouths, no warmth. They were elite hunters trained to kill without a sound, and they had one target. Lyra Vontel. Eli stood and scanned the dark hallway outside their room. His voice was low but firm. Lyra, wake up. She sat up quickly, already alert. What is it? We're not alone. She didn't ask how he knew. She simply rose, pulled her cloak tighter, and reached for the curved blade Eli had given her earlier. The bond between them now went beyond words. They moved quietly through the station's inner corridor. Eli led the way, checking corners, looking for movement. Lyra followed, her senses sharp. Her heart beat faster with every step, but not from fear, from something deeper. They had stopped running. Now they were ready to fight. Suddenly, a flicker of movement. Eli ducked. A throwing spike sliced through the air just inches from his face. One assassin dropped from the ceiling like a spider and lunged toward Lyra. But she was ready. Her hand glowed. A burst of energy shot from her palm, slamming the attacker into the wall. Before she could breathe, another charged from behind. Eli tackled the second assassin mid-swing, his blade clashing against the attacker's curved weapon. Sparks flew as they rolled across the floor, both landing hard. Eli grunted and flipped the attacker over, then shot a stun round into the assassin's chest. The armor cracked. The body stilled. Lyra turned to him. More are coming. Let them, Eli said. They picked the wrong night. The last assassin was smarter. He didn't attack. He spoke. You cannot hide forever, girl, came the voice from the dark. Cold. Robotic. Even if he protects you, your fate is sealed. Lyra stepped forward. Show yourself. A tall figure stepped into the weak light. His armor was dark red. The symbol on his chest marked him as a royal inquisitor, the deadliest class of hunter from her family's private order. I know who you are, Lyra said, voice steady. You served my uncle. The assassin removed his helmet. His face was pale and emotionless. And I will serve the new queen once your threat is removed. Eli stepped beside her. She is the queen, idiot. The assassin smiled. Not yet. Suddenly, the lights shattered. The room turned pitch black. Only the glow from Lyra's hands and Eli's targeting lens lit the space. The assassin was fast. He struck like lightning, twisting, cutting, vanishing into shadows. Eli was knocked to the ground. Bleeding from the side, Lyra screamed. Not in fear, but rage. Her power erupted. The entire hallway lit up with blue-white fire. The assassin froze, blinded. And in that moment, Lyra moved, graceful and silent, like a blade of wind. She slashed through the air, and the Inquisitor fell. Her blade hummed as it burned through his armor. He dropped without a sound. When the lights returned, the station was a mess. Burned walls, broken pipes, smoke everywhere. Eli sat up slowly, holding his side. Lyra ran to him, her hands shaking. "You're hurt." "I've had worse," he groaned, smiling. "Did you see that guy's face when you roasted him?" "I wasn't aiming for style," she said, but smiled anyway. Later, she cleaned his wound while he lay on the floor, wincing. "You should have run," she said. "I told you before, I don't run anymore," he replied. Her fingers paused. Her voice softened. "If I lost you, you won't," he said, looking into her eyes. "I'm not going anywhere." Something in her chest squeezed. Not fear, not pain, something else. She leaned in and gently rested her forehead against his. No words were needed. Not anymore. Above the planet, in the hidden cruiser, the silver-eyed woman watched the failed mission. Her voice was ice. "She's awakening." An officer beside her spoke carefully. "Shall we prepare the full strike?" The woman turned slowly. "No," she said. "We'll send her a message. The throne doesn't matter anymore." The message came wrapped in blood. It wasn't a transmission, it was a box. Small, black, left outside the ruined moon station by a stealth drone. No beeping, no alarms, just silence, and a faint hum. Eli saw it first. His gut twisted. He called Lyra without opening it. She approached carefully, her hand glowing just in case it was a trap. But when she lifted the lid, her heart sank. Inside was a symbol carved into bone. The crest of her mother's house cracked down the middle. Below it, a strip of royal cloth soaked in something dark. Lyra's face went pale. "This is a declaration." Eli looked at her. "Of war?" She shook her head. "Of invitation. They're calling me home. For judgment." Hours later, Eli and Lyra stood in the old station's main control room. The map showed her homeworld, Vontel Prime, spinning in silence. "I have to go back," she said at last. "If I don't, they'll come for more. They'll destroy every place I hide, every person who helps me." Eli didn't argue. "Then we do it on our terms." Lyra's eyes widened. "You'll come with me? You think I'd let you face them alone?" She smiled sadly. "This time, I won't run. I won't fight for the throne either." Eli blinked. "You won't?" She looked him in the eyes. "The throne doesn't matter to me anymore. Not after meeting you. Not after learning who I really am. I want to be free. But to get that, I need to end this." The two left the moon behind in silence. The stars watched them like quiet gods. Vontel Prime's sky was dark red as their small ship broke through the clouds. Towers made of crystal and steel rose from deep valleys. The capital city was a blend of beauty and cruelty, perfect on the outside, rotten at the core. Lyra looked down as they flew toward the palace landing pad. "I was born in that tower, locked in that tower, trained in that tower." Eli glanced at her. "Ready to break it?" Her voice was calm, more than ever. As they stepped out, the royal guards surrounded them, but no one moved. Everyone waited. Because standing at the top of the stairs was Lady Syrexa, Lyra's aunt and now ruler of House Vontel. Her silver eyes glowed like frost and a false smile painted her face. "Dear Lyra," Syrexa said sweetly, "you've come home." "This was never my home," Lyra replied coldly. "And you were never my family." Syrexa gave a small laugh. "Still sharp, but foolish. Do you really think one broken girl and a human pet can change anything?" Eli stepped forward. "We're not here to take your throne. Sorexa raised an eyebrow. No? Lyra stepped beside him. We're here to end your lies. She raised her hand. The sky above the palace turned white-blue. Inside the main hall, Lyra walked ahead alone. Eli followed, watching every movement. The royal council had gathered, dozens of alien nobles who once voted for her execution. Let me guess, one of them said. You've come to make peace? Lyra's voice echoed across the stone. No. I've come to end the fear you built around my name. By using the very power we feared? Another sneered. She nodded. Yes. So you'll never fear it again. She stepped to the center of the hall and lifted both hands. Her body glowed, not in anger, not in violence, but in truth. She showed them her memories, her pain, her mother's betrayal, the hunters, the prison, the man who saved her, the bond they now shared. Images floated in the air, real and raw. Many in the room fell silent. Some wept. One elder stood. She has returned not to rule, but to free. Another whispered, she is not her power. She is her choice, Sorexa hissed, realizing she was losing control. Lies, she shouted. This is manipulation. But no one listened. For the first time, they looked at Lyra and saw a leader not by birth, but by heart. Lyra turned and walked out of the hall without taking the crown offered to her. Eli met her outside. You did it, he said. No, she replied. We did. Later, on a quiet hill above the city, they sat together as the wind carried petals from a tree nearby. You gave up everything, Eli said. Lyra leaned against him. No, I gave up something fake to have something real. He looked at her. And what's that? She smiled. Us. The girl who lived and loved. The crowd expected a queen. What they saw instead was a girl holding the hand of a human, smiling at the sunrise. Lyra stood on the palace balcony, but she wasn't wearing a crown. No heavy robes, no glowing staff. Just a simple tunic, soft boots, and peace in her heart. Beside her stood Eli, scar on his side, dirt on his boots, but a calm strength in his eyes. The wind carried their silence across the capital. People waited for a speech, a command, an announcement. But instead, Lyra simply said, I'm not your queen. I'm just someone who lived. The crowd gasped. She smiled gently. And loved. 2 days earlier, she had ended it all with a choice. Not through war, not with blood, but by walking away from power. Her aunt, Lady Sorexa, had been taken into custody after confessing her lies in front of the royal elders. Those who once feared Lyra now bowed with respect, not to a title, but to her truth. Lyra signed a royal decree that passed her right of succession to a peaceful council. The throne, once soaked in control, would now be shared by those who listened. She had broken the old chain, and now she was free. In the quiet fields beyond the city, Lyra and Eli built a small home under the shade of a glowing stone tree, its petals white like starlight humming softly with life. Eli looked at it one evening and asked, Does this tree sing, or am I losing my mind? It sings. Lyra laughed. It responds to happiness. Well, it's singing loud. He grinned. She sat beside him, her head resting on his shoulder. This is all I ever wanted. Not palaces, not titles, just peace. Eli looked at her. You're sure? I've never been more sure. But peace didn't mean silence forever. They spent months helping others, repairing destroyed villages, speaking to outcast airbornes across the galaxy, and offering them shelter, truth, and love. Lyra became a symbol, not of royalty, but of healing. 1. Night under a silver moon, Eli lit a small fire outside their home. He held something in his hand, a piece of twisted metal shaped like a ring. He didn't get on one knee. He just offered it to her, eyes steady. It's not fancy, he said, but it's mine. And I want it to be yours, too. Lyra took it, slowly, heart full. Then she said with a smirk, "You know humans are strange, right? Only the good ones." She slipped it on. It fit perfectly. Years passed. Lyra's hair grew longer, her powers steadier. She no longer feared them. Eli's face gained more lines, his stories more layers. They never had children of their own, but they raised many, refugees, abandoned airborns, kids who needed a home. And whenever someone asked them, "How did this all begin?" they would share a smile, and Lyra would whisper, "It started the day I stood on that platform and thought I was going to die. But I lived, because one human chose kindness over fear. And through him, I found the strength to choose love over power." In the end, Lyra Vontel was not remembered as a queen. She was remembered as the girl who lived and loved. And in the stars above their quiet home, the wind still carried her name, not as a warning, but as a promise.